My name is Jessica Sanders. I'm 28 years old. When I was 15, my mother died of cancer. She was a pianist, a composer, the only person who ever made me feel like I mattered. After she passed, my father sat me down and said, "Your mother didn't leave anything behind. The medical bills took everything." I believed him. I believed him when he remarried a woman who hated me. I believed him when my stepbrother moved in and treated me like a ghost. I believed him when they sold my mother's piano, the one she used to record her only album, and told me I was being selfish for crying. I moved away. I built a life. I became a lawyer. And I never looked back. Until 1 month ago, when my father called. He said he was dying. He said he wanted to tell me the truth. What he didn't know was that someone had already told me first. I need you to understand something before we go any further. I need you to understand what that piano meant, what my mother meant. Because without that, nothing else makes sense. My mother's name was Carolyn Mitchell Sanders. She was a pianist and a composer, not famous, not wealthy, but talented in a way that made strangers stop and listen. She had this routine. Every morning at 6 a.m., before the rest of Richmond woke up, she would sit at her piano, a 1975 Steinway Model D, concert grand, and she would play. Not practice. Play. Other kids had lullabies sung to them at bedtime. I had Chopin at 6 a.m. I would lie on the hardwood floor in our living room, still in my pajamas, and feel the vibrations through my back. The bass notes would travel up through the wood, through my spine, into my chest. It was like being held by the music itself. My father never came into the room when she played. At the time, I thought he was busy, getting ready for work, making coffee. Now I know he just didn't want to hear it. In 2006, when I was 10 years old, my mother recorded an album. It wasn't a big production. A small studio called Blue Ridge Recording, right here in Richmond. 8 original compositions. 47 minutes total. It cost her $8,500. Money she'd saved for 3 years. I remember sitting in the control room, watching through the glass, my mother at the piano, headphones on, eyes closed. She wasn't playing for the microphone. She wasn't playing for the engineer. She was playing for herself. For me. For something bigger than both of us. That was the first time I understood that my mother wasn't just my mother. She was an artist. She had a voice. And that voice lived inside that piano. After the session, she put her arm around me and said something I've never forgotten. "This piano has my whole soul in it, Jessie. Someday it'll have yours too." The album never got famous. A few hundred copies sold. Some local radio play. Maybe $200 in royalties that first year. At least, that's what my father told me later. In March of 2008, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Stage 2. Invasive ductal carcinoma. She was 41 years old. I was 12. I didn't fully understand what was happening. I knew she was sick. I knew she had appointments at VCU Medical Center that made her tired and thin. I knew she lost her hair and wore scarves around the house. But I also knew she kept playing. Every morning, 6 a.m. Chopin, Debussy, her own compositions. The music never stopped. What I didn't notice, what I was too young to notice, was that she started writing more. Not music, letters, pages and pages of handwritten notes. One night I asked her what she was working on. "I'm writing down the important things," she said. "Music?" She shook her head. "No, baby, more important than that." I didn't ask what she meant. I didn't want to know. That was my first mistake. The night before my mother went to the hospital for the last time, she called me into her room. June 14th, 2011. I remember the date because I've replayed that night in my head 1,000 times since. She was in bed. Thin. So thin. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Jessica, come here. Sit with me. I sat on the edge of the bed. I didn't want to look at her. Looking at her meant admitting she was dying. I need to tell you something, she said. About the piano. About everything I created. I wrote it all down. Your Aunt Becca knows. Promise me you'll. I cut her off. You'll be fine, Mom. You're going to be fine. Then I ran. I ran out of the room, down the hall, into my bedroom. I closed the door. I put my pillow over my head, and I never heard what she was trying to say. That was the last conversation I ever had with my mother. She died 5 days later, June 19th, 2011, 3:42 in the morning. And I spent the next 13 years believing she left me nothing. The morning my mother died, I got a phone call at 6:03 a.m. My father's voice. Flat, controlled, no emotion. She's gone, Jessica. Come to the hospital. We need to sign papers. Papers. That was the first word my father used after my mother died. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I love you. Not, we'll get through this together. Papers. I should have known then. I should have seen it. But I was 15. My mother was dead. And I couldn't see anything. The funeral was 5 days later at St. Matthew's Episcopal Church. 247 people signed the guest book. My mother had touched a lot of lives. I sat in the front row next to my father. People came up to us, one by one, shaking hands, offering condolences. Your mother was an angel. Her music touched so many of us. She's in a better place now. My father nodded and smiled, thanked everyone for coming, shook hands like he was at a business conference. At one point, a man I didn't recognize approached me. Gray hair, kind eyes. He leaned down and spoke quietly. Your mother. Did she send you anything? A letter, maybe? She told me she was going to send something to you. Before I could answer, my father's hand was on my shoulder. Jessica, come say hello to Pastor Williams. He steered me away. I never saw that man again. I didn't know his name then. I do now. Andrew Garrett, violinist, my mother's colleague. He knew about the letter. My father made sure I didn't find out. 1 week after the funeral, my father sat me down at the kitchen table. 7:30 p.m., June 26th, 2011. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The piano sat in the living room, untouched. Jesse, we need to talk about some things, he said. He had a folder in front of him, papers inside. Your mother didn't have a will. She was too sick to think about those things at the end. And the medical bills. He shook his head. 3 years of treatment. Insurance only covered so much. We're actually in debt now. I stared at him. Debt? About $45,000. I'm going to have to work extra hours, make some adjustments, but we'll be okay. I nodded. I believed him. Then I asked the question that should have saved me. What about Mom's album? The music she wrote? My father smiled. A small, sad smile. Jesse, nobody bought that album. Maybe $200 total over the years. Your mother was talented, but she wasn't commercial. There's nothing there. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my father. He had just lost his wife. He was handling everything. I was 15 years old, drowning in grief, and I believed every word he said. A few days later, I remembered what my mother said about Aunt Becca, Rebecca Lawson, my mother's younger sister. She lived in Charlottesville, about an hour away. I called her. The phone rang 4 times. Then her voice, strained, tired. Jessica. Honey, how are you holding up? I'm okay. Aunt Becca, I wanted to ask you something. Mom said, she said you know about something. Something she wrote down? Silence on the line. 4 seconds. 5. 6. Aunt Becca? Sweetheart. Her voice was tight. Now isn't the time. Your father is handling everything. Trust him, okay? I'll talk to you when things settle down. But Mom said, I know what she said. But right now, you need to focus on getting through this. Your father will explain everything when the time is right. She hung up. The call lasted 4 minutes and 32 seconds. I remember the exact length because I stared at my phone for a long time afterward, wondering why my aunt sounded so scared. I told myself she was just grieving, just like me. 13 years later, I found out she was terrified, not of grief, of my father. That summer, I tried to adjust to the new normal. My mother was gone. My father was distant. The house felt like a museum. The piano sat in the living room, silent. I would sit in front of it sometimes, not playing, just touching the keys. They felt cold, like the warmth had been sucked out of them. My father started working longer hours, home after 10 most nights. I ate dinner alone 5 or 6 times a week. I didn't mind. Being alone was easier than being with him. Then, in August, he started mentioning a name. Brenda. I met someone at work, he said. Just a colleague. She's been helping me through this. I didn't ask what helping meant. I didn't want to know. My father introduced me to Brenda Holloway on October 14th, 2012. I remember the date because I remember what she was wearing. A red dress, pearl necklace, heels that clicked on our hardwood floor. She walked into our house like she was appraising it. What a lovely home, Leonard, she said, looking around. Then her eyes landed on the piano. That thing takes up so much space, doesn't it? That thing. That was how she referred to my mother's piano. Not that beautiful instrument, not your late wife's piano. That thing. I knew, in that exact moment, that this woman was my enemy. She smiled at me, a wide, practiced smile, no warmth behind it. You must be Jessica. Your father has told me so much about you. She was 42 years old, former real estate agent, divorced, no kids. She carried a bottle of wine that cost $85. I checked later. My father was smitten. I could see it in his eyes. And I could see something else. The way Brenda looked at our house, at our things, at my mother's things. She wasn't looking at a family. She was looking at real estate. 2 months later, my father announced he was engaged. December 2012. I was 16. I wasn't asked for my opinion. I wasn't consulted. I was informed. Brenda and I are getting married in March. I hope you'll be happy for us, Jessie. Happy. My mother had been dead for 18 months, and my father was getting remarried. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? The changes started immediately. Brenda moved in, started redecorating. My mother's photos came down, first from the living room, then the hallway, then the bedroom. Her books disappeared, her sheet music, her records. One by one, every trace of Carolyn Mitchell Sanders was erased from that house. Everything except the piano. That stayed. Not because Brenda wanted it there. I could see how much she hated it every time she walked past. But because it was heavy. Because selling it required effort. My father assured me it would stay. The piano isn't going anywhere, Jessie. That's a family asset. Asset. Not memory, not tribute. Asset. I was starting to see a pattern. Sanders. My father's son from his first Sanders. My father's son from his first marriage. Before my mother. I didn't even know he existed until that month. My father never talked about his first marriage. It ended badly, he said. He and Travis's mother had split before I was born. Travis had been living with his mother in Norfolk, but she kicked him out. Behavioral issues, my father said. He didn't elaborate. Travis was 17. Tall. Angry. He had a scar above his left eyebrow from a fight. The first time we met, he looked me up and down like I was an inconvenience. So you're the princess who got everything. Must be nice. I didn't understand what he meant. I had lost my mother. I hadn't gotten anything. But Travis saw it differently. In his mind, I had stolen his father, stolen his life, stolen his inheritance. Brenda had been filling his head with stories for months, and now we were living under the same roof. The new hierarchy in our house was clear. Brenda controlled the money, all of it. My father signed everything over to her for simplicity. Travis was the priority. His needs came first. His moods were accommodated. His mistakes were forgiven. And me? I was a tenant, a boarder in my own home. When I turned 17, Brenda informed me that I would start paying rent. $300 a month. You have that job at the coffee shop, right? Time to start contributing like an adult. $300. From a 17-year-old to live in the house my mother helped pay for. I didn't argue. I paid. One night I overheard Brenda talking to my father in their bedroom. Jessica is 18 next year. She's an adult. She should start thinking about moving out. We need the space. Space. For what? The answer came a few months later. Travis needed a home office for his business ventures. My bedroom was the biggest, other than the master. I started looking at college applications. February 8th, 2014, 9:23 p.m. I was playing the piano, for the first time in almost 2 years. My mother's music, one of her original compositions, something she called Morning Light. I was rusty. My fingers stumbled over the keys, but the melody was there. Her melody. I didn't hear Brenda come in. She stood behind me, silent, waiting for me to stop. When I finished, she spoke. You play exactly like her. I turned around. Same posture? Same pause before the chord change. It's uncanny. She didn't say it like a compliment. She said it like a diagnosis. Then she leaned closer. Leonard hates hearing it. Every time you touch that piano, he sees her ghost. You should stop. She walked out. That night, I closed the piano lid. I didn't play again for 10 years. 5 years passed. I went to college, then law school. I came home as little as possible. But in March of 2019, I made the mistake of visiting. I was 23, about to graduate, studying for the bar exam. I thought a weekend at home might help me decompress. I was wrong. The moment I walked in, I could feel the tension. Brenda was on edge. Travis was avoiding eye contact. My father looked afraid. It took me 2 hours to find out why. Travis had a gambling problem, sports betting. He'd been doing it since high school. I learned that later. But now it had caught up with him. $20,000, owed to people who didn't send polite reminder emails. I overheard my father and Brenda arguing in the kitchen. We don't have 20,000 liquid, my father said. The dealership is tight right now. Then we find it somewhere else, Brenda hissed. These people Travis owes, they're not patient. Then she said it. There's one option. That piano. It's worth over 100,000. I stopped breathing. The next morning, they called a family meeting. Living room. Brenda, my father, Travis, and me. They explained the situation. Travis owed money, dangerous money. They needed to help him. We're going to sell the piano, my father said. I felt the blood drain from my face. That's Mom's piano. Your mother has been dead for 8 years, Jessica. His voice was flat. This is about the living. Travis needs help. Brenda jumped in. Don't be selfish, Jessica. It's just an object. Travis's life is at stake. These people he owes, they're dangerous. I looked at Travis. He didn't meet my eyes. Then I asked the question. The piano is worth at least $175,000. Travis owes $20,000. Where's the rest of the money going? Silence. Brenda's smile tightened. That's not your concern. April 12th, 2019. I came home from the library to find a truck in the driveway. Whitmore and Sons pianos. Two men were loading my mother's Steinway onto a lift. I ran inside. My father was in the living room, holding a folder. Papers inside. It's done, Jessica. This is what's best for everyone. I grabbed the folder. Sales agreement. Buyer. Whitmore and Sons pianos. Sale price. $95,000. My mother's piano. Worth $175,000. Sold for $95,000 because they needed the money fast. And at the bottom of the page, my signature. Except I never signed it. The handwriting was close. Maybe 70% accurate, but it wasn't mine. Someone had forged my signature. I looked at my father, then at Brenda, standing in the doorway. Who signed this? Neither of them answered. I told them I was going to call the police, report the forgery. Brenda laughed. Go ahead, call the police. File a report. Take your own father to court. She stepped closer. Then watch the whole town find out. The Sanders family, in court, fighting over a dead woman's piano. Your father's dealership will be ruined. His reputation. Everything. She tilted her head. Is that what you want, Jessica? To destroy this family over an object? My father spoke then. The words I'll never forget. Don't make the family look bad, Jessica. Please. We've all sacrificed for each other. This is just one more. I looked at him, the man I had trusted for 23 years. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He wasn't offering an explanation. He was telling me to be quiet, like he did when my mother died, like he always did. I didn't argue. I went upstairs, packed 2 suitcases, everything I owned. The next morning at 6:45 a.m., I called a taxi. My father was standing at the bottom of the stairs when I came down, silent, watching. I walked past him, opened the front door. I didn't slam it. I closed it quietly, like I always did. The good daughter. The silent one. The taxi took me to the Amtrak station. I bought a one-way ticket to Boston. $89. That's how much it cost to leave my family behind. On the train, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Text unknown number. Jessica, it's Aunt Becca. We need to talk. But not now. When you're ready. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I turned off my phone. I wasn't ready. It would take 5 years. 2 days later, Travis texted me. Text. Travis. Thanks for not being a drama queen. Brenda says you're smarter than she thought, Travis. By the way, the piano money cleared. We're good now, Travis. Dad says you can come home when you grow up, LOL. I didn't reply. I screenshotted the messages, then I blocked his number. I didn't know why I saved those screenshots. Some instinct. Some part of me that knew I might need them someday. I was right. I moved to Boston with 2 suitcases and $1,100 in my bank account. I rented a studio apartment in Allston. $1,400 a month. No furniture, just a mattress on the floor and my laptop on a cardboard box. I had 3 months until the bar exam. I studied 18 hours a day. There was no one to call when I passed. No one to celebrate with. So I made instant noodles and went back to reading case law. November 2019. I got the letter. I'd passed the Massachusetts bar exam. Score, 285. Passing was 270. I sat on my floor for an hour holding the letter. My mother would have cried. My father wouldn't have cared. That night, I opened my laptop and searched for Whitmore and Sons Pianos Richmond. They had a website, an inventory page. My mother's piano was listed. Already sold. Resale price, $145,000. Someone had bought it. Someone who wasn't me. I closed the laptop. In January 2020, I was hired by Morrison and Callaway LLP, a mid-size firm in downtown Boston. They specialized in estate planning, trust litigation, contested wills. One of my interviewers asked me why I wanted to do this kind of law. Family drama and dead people's money, she said. Not exactly glamorous. I smiled. That's exactly why. She didn't understand. How could she? I didn't tell her that I was training for a fight I didn't know I'd have. The letters from home started coming in 2020. Email, December 2020. From Leonard Sanders. Subject: Christmas? Jesse, it's Christmas. Brenda made your favorite pie. We miss you. Please call. I didn't reply. Text: June 2021. Travis, heard you work at some fancy firm. Still think you're better than us, huh? I didn't reply. Email, February 2023. From Leonard Sanders. Subject: Worried I'm worried about you, Jessica. It's been almost 4 years. Just one call. Please. I didn't reply. Over 5 years, they contacted me 12 times. I replied 0 times. The only person I stayed in touch with was Aunt Rebecca. Once a year, she would visit Boston. We'd meet for coffee at a cafe on Newbury Street. She always looked nervous, always wanted to tell me something. In September 2022, she almost did. There's something I should have told you years ago, Jessica. About your mother. About what she left you. I set down my coffee cup. What do you mean? She shook her head. I can't. Not yet. Your father, he'd what? She didn't answer. Just looked at her hands. When you're ready, I said. Let me know. I thought I was being polite. I didn't know she was waiting for something. She was waiting for my father to die. By 2024, I was 28 years old, associate attorney at Morrison and Callaway, specializing in contested wills and estate fraud. Salary, $195,000 a year. I had an apartment in Back Bay. Nice building. Good view of the Charles River. No piano. I had a little electronic keyboard in the corner. I never played it. Some wounds don't heal. You just learn to work around them. Then, one night in January 2024, my phone rang. 9:47 p.m. Caller ID. Dad. I let it ring 4 times. Then I answered. Jesse? Are you there? My father's voice. But different. Thinner. Weaker. I didn't say anything. Jesse, please don't hang up. I'm here. Silence on the line. I could hear him breathing. Labored. Slow. I'm sick, Jessica. Cancer. Pancreatic. Stage 4. I felt nothing. Is that terrible to admit? My father was telling me he was dying, and I felt nothing. The doctors say I have maybe until summer. 6 months. Maybe 8 if I'm lucky. Still nothing. I don't want to go without making things right. Now I felt something. A flicker of something cold in my chest. Making what right? Exactly. Another pause. Longer this time. There are things I should have told you after your mother died. Things about what she left. I was trying to protect you. Protect me. There it was. The lie wrapped inside an excuse. What things? I can't explain over the phone, Jesse. I need you to come home. To Richmond. So we can talk face to face. There are papers. Things that need to be signed. Papers. That word again. What kind of papers? Just to make sure everything goes smoothly after I'm gone. You understand legal stuff, right? It'll be straightforward. I understood legal stuff. I understood when someone was trying to get me to sign away my rights. I'll think about it, I said. Thank you, Jesse. That's all I'm asking. Just think about it. Then a cough. Wet. Painful. And another voice. Jessica. Brenda. Don't take too long. Your father doesn't have much time. Don't make him wait. A pause. We all make choices, Jessica. Your father is giving you a chance to make the right one. For once. Click. The call lasted 6 minutes and 14 seconds. I sat in my apartment, holding my phone, staring at the wall. For once. She said, for once. Like I was the one who had failed. Like I was the one who owed them something. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. 2 days later, my phone rang again. Different number this time. Charlottesville, Virginia. Aunt Rebecca. Jessica, before you go see your father, there's something you need to know. Her voice was different. Sharper. More urgent than I'd ever heard. I've kept quiet for 13 years. I was scared. Your father, he has a way of making people afraid, but he's dying now. And I can't let you walk into that house without the truth. What truth? I heard her take a deep breath. Your mother had a will, Jessica. And you are the only heir. The room went silent. My own heartbeat was the loudest thing I could hear. What are you talking about? A letter. Your mother wrote it by hand before she died. It says everything. The piano, her music, the rights to her compositions. All of it belongs to you. That's not possible. Dad said there was no will. He said. He lied, Jessica. He's been lying since the day she died. Aunt Rebecca sent me a scan of the letter that night. Email. Attachment. From Rebecca Lawson. Subject, what Carolyn left you. Attachment, Carolyn_letter_2, 011.pdf. I opened it. 2 pages. Yellow-lined paper. My mother's handwriting. Shaky but clear. Dated June 10th, 2011. 4 days before she went to the hospital for the last time. I read it 3 times. Then 5 times. Then I lost count. To my daughter Jessica, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I wish I could have told you in person, but time ran out faster than I expected. Everything I created, my music, my recordings, the rights to my compositions, belongs to you. The piano belongs to you. It was bought with money from my parents' estate, not from Leonard. I'm writing this letter because I don't trust what happens after I'm gone. Leonard means well, but Brenda, I see how she looks at our family, at you. My sister Rebecca has a copy of this letter. The original is in the piano bench, under the false bottom. I put it there because some things should be hidden in plain sight. You are my heart, Jessica. Everything I made was for you. Love always, Mom. I read it again. My mother left me everything. And my father told me she left nothing. He didn't just hide the truth. He lied directly to my face when I was 15 years old, standing beside my mother's coffin. I called Rebecca back. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Her voice cracked. I wanted to. I called you, remember? A few days after the funeral, but Leonard got to me first. He said you already knew. He said you'd agreed to let him manage everything until you turned 25. He made it sound so reasonable. I believed him. And after that? I asked about it a few times over the years. He always had an excuse. Jessica's too young. Jessica's focused on school. Jessica doesn't need to be burdened with this. I should have pushed harder. I should have told you myself. I'm so sorry. I didn't say anything. There's more, she said. In 2014, something happened. Your mother's music. It got picked up. A film? An independent movie. It used 3 of her compositions. What film? It was called Winter Light. Some kind of art house thing. But it did well. Got nominated for an Independent Spirit Award. I typed the name into my browser. Results. Winter Light, 2014. Directed by Nicholas Porter. Original score by Carolyn Mitchell. My mother's name. On a real film. A music publisher contacted your father that year, Rebecca continued. Crescent Music Publishing. They wanted to buy the entire catalog, all of Carolyn's compositions. How much? I don't know exactly, but Andrew Garrett, he was a friend of your mother's, a violinist. He told me it was around $150,000 upfront, plus royalties. $150,000, plus royalties. For 10 years. Jessica, that money should have been yours. Every cent. I pulled up the Virginia State Corporation Commission website, business entity search. I typed in Hollowell Media Partners. Results: Hollowell Media Partners, LLC, formed February 14th, 2014. Registered agent, Leonard A. Sanders. Address: 7102 Broadstone Drive, Richmond, Virginia. Our house. And Hollowell. That was Brenda's maiden name. My father had created a shell company, named it after his new wife. 2 months before the deal with the publisher. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't confusion. This was calculated theft. I added up the numbers. $150,000 for the catalog sale. 10 years of royalties. Probably $15,000 to $20,000 per year. Let's say $180,000 total. Plus the piano. Sold for $95,000. Total. Over $425,000. All of it mine. All of it stolen. And now my father was dying, and he wanted me to come home and sign papers. I understood now. He wasn't calling to apologize. He was calling to make sure I never found out. The original letter, I said to Rebecca. Mom said it was hidden in the piano bench. I know, but the piano was sold. Who bought it? I don't know. Some dealer. Then a private collector, I think. I'm going to find out. I took the next week off work. I told them it was a family emergency. That was technically true. We're helpful? Too helpful. Yes, we were helpful. Too helpful. Yes, we acquired that Steinway in 2019. Beautiful instrument. We sold it to a private collector in Washington, D.C., a man named Harrison Cole. I wrote down the name. Harrison Cole, 67 years old, retired surgeon, Georgetown Townhouse, collector of vintage Steinways. I found his contact information through public records. I called him. Dr. Cole? My name is Jessica Sanders. I believe you purchased my mother's piano. Silence. Miss Sanders. Yes, I know the instrument you're referring to. The 1975 Model D. It's a remarkable piece. Dr. Cole, I need to tell you something. That piano was sold without my consent. My signature on the sale documents was forged. I'm an attorney, and I'm investigating the circumstances. A long pause. I had no idea. I purchased it in good faith from the dealer. I understand. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm trying to recover my mother's legacy. Another pause. Ms. Sanders, there's something you should know. When I was restoring the piano bench, I found an envelope. It was hidden under a false panel at the bottom. I haven't opened it. It has your name on it. My heart stopped. It's still there? I kept it. It felt personal. I thought someday the rightful owner might come looking. I flew to Washington, D.C. the next day. We met at a cafe in Georgetown. Dr. Cole was a kind-faced man with white hair and gentle eyes. He brought the envelope in a padded folder. Your mother must have loved you very much, he said. She hid this like a treasure. I took the envelope, yellow with age, my name written on the front in my mother's handwriting. For Jessica. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, the original letter. Exactly like the copy Rebecca sent, but with something additional. A second page, a list of all my mother's compositions, with notes. Morning Light, completed 2005. Rights belong to my daughter Jessica Sanders. Winter Song, completed 2006. Rights belong to my daughter Jessica Sanders. Last Dance, completed 2007. Rights belong to my daughter Jessica Sanders. And at the bottom, underlined twice. All royalties, all rights, all future income from my music belongs solely to my daughter. This is my will and my wish. Signed. Dated. June 10th, 2011. I contacted Crescent Music Publishing in Nashville. I introduced myself as an attorney investigating an estate matter. Provided documentation that I was Carolyn Mitchell's daughter. They sent me the contract. Email. Attachment. From Crescent Music Publishing. Legal Department Subject. Estate of Carolyn Mitchell Sanders. Attachment CMITCHELL_catalog_agreement_2 014.PDIFI opened it. Signed by Leonard Sanders, Administrator of the estate. There was no estate administration, there was no probate. My mother had a will, it was just ignored. The contract showed $150,000 paid upfront on April 8, 2014, and a royalty payment schedule. I requested the payment history. They sent it. Royalty payment. Summary: 2014 to 2024. Payee: Hollowell Media Partners, LLC 2014. $12,418. 2015. $18,932. 2016. $21,506. 2017. $19,844. 2018. $22,187. 2019. $17,632. 2020. $15,891. 2021. $19,204. 2022. $18,756. 2023. $16,412. 2024. Q1. $4,650. Total. $187,432. $187,000 in royalties, plus $150,000 up front, plus $95,000 for the piano. Total. $432,432. My inheritance. Stolen. Deposited into an LLC named after my stepmother. I created an evidence file. Original letter from my mother. Copy from Rebecca. LLC registration documents. Contract with Crescent Music. 10 years of royalty payments. Screenshots of Travis's texts from 2019. The forged signature on the piano sale. 47 pages. I made 3 copies. One for my safe deposit box. One for Rebecca. One for the lawyer I would hire if this went to court. But I didn't want to go to court. I wanted to see my father's face when he realized I knew everything. The night before I flew to Richmond, I sat in my apartment looking at a photo of my mother, the only one I'd kept. Her at the piano, smiling, young. Mom, I'm doing what you asked. I'm taking back what's mine. I just wish you were here to see it. My phone buzzed. Text. Unknown number. I know what you're doing. It won't work. Be Brenda. I smiled. That was the first genuine smile I'd had in 5 years. February 10th, 2024. 2:34 p.m. I pulled into the driveway of 7102 Broadstone Drive. The house looked smaller than I remembered. The maple tree in the front yard was gone. Cut down. The front door had been repainted blue. My mother had painted it white. Every trace of her erased. Brenda opened the door. Jessica, you came. Your father will be so happy. She smiled that smile, the one that never reached her eyes. Then she turned and called into the house. She's here. Get the papers ready. My father was in the living room. I barely recognized him. He'd lost 40 pounds. His skin had a yellow tinge, jaundice from the cancer. He was sitting in an armchair, wrapped in a cardigan I remembered from my childhood. For a moment, just one moment, I felt something like pity. Then he opened his mouth. Jessie, you look good. Successful. I always knew you'd do well. You got that from me. The pity vanished. Got that from him? What had I ever gotten from him? Except lies? Brenda handed me a folder. Let's not waste time. Your father has an appointment in 2 hours. I opened it. Release and settlement agreement. 8 pages. Prepared by Frederick Wallace, attorney at law, Richmond. I skimmed the key paragraphs. The undersigned hereby waives all claims related to the estate of Carolyn Mitchell Sanders. Releases Leonard A. Sanders and Hollowell Media Partners, LLC from any liability. Acknowledges receipt of all property and assets to which she may be entitled. They wanted me to sign away everything. Before I even knew I had anything, I set the document down. Before I sign this, I have something to show you. I opened my own folder. I took out the original letter, my mother's handwriting, placed it on the table. The room went silent. Recognize the handwriting, Dad? It's Mom's. Dated June 10th, 2011. 5 days before she died. My father stared at the letter. His face went pale, paler than the cancer had made it. Brenda stood up. Where did you get that? The original was hidden in the piano bench. The piano you sold. The buyer found it and kept it. He gave it to me. I watched my father's hands tremble. She left me everything, Dad. The piano, the music rights, all of it. And you told me she left nothing. I continued. But wait, there's more. I pulled out the LLC registration. Hollowell Media Partners, formed February 2014, 2 months before you sold Mom's music catalog. Registered agent, Leonard A. Sanders, named after your new wife. I placed the contract from Crescent Music on the table. $150,000 upfront, paid to your shell company. I placed the payment history next to it. $187,432 in royalties over 10 years, also paid to your shell company. I placed the forged piano sale agreement last, and $95,000 for the piano, sold with a forged signature. I looked at him. Total, $432,432. Money that belonged to me, stolen by my own father. Travis stood up from the corner. What the hell is this? Brenda's voice went shrill. Leonard, say something. My father just looked at me. He didn't deny it. He didn't explain. He just looked at me with the eyes of a man who had been caught. Brenda tried one more play. That letter is fake. You forged it. You're trying to destroy this family. I didn't respond to her. I kept my eyes on my father. Dad? Is it fake? Silence. Is the letter fake? He shook his head slowly. Brenda, stop. She stared at him. Leonard. She knows. It's over. She knows everything. He looked at me. I never thought you'd find out. I thought if you never knew, it wouldn't hurt you. I let the silence stretch. You thought it wouldn't hurt me? To have my inheritance stolen? To be told my mother left me nothing? To watch you sell her piano and be told I was selfish for crying? He flinched. I was trying to protect... You weren't protecting me. You were protecting yourself. You were protecting her. I pointed at Brenda. You were protecting Travis. Everyone except me. I stood up. I want to know why, the real reason. My father's story came out in pieces. After my mother died, he was in debt. Medical bills, yes, but also bad investments at the dealership. He was about to go under. Brenda came up with the idea to sell the music rights. Just until things stabilize, she said. Jessica doesn't need to know. But once the money came in, there was always another crisis. The dealership needed more capital. Travis got into trouble. Brenda wanted renovations. The first year, I told myself I'd pay it back, my father said. The second year, the dealership almost went under. The third year, Travis needed help. It just kept going, and I couldn't stop. Because stopping meant admitting what I'd done. I listened without expression. You sold Mom's piano because Travis owed $20,000 in gambling debts, but you got $95,000. Where did the other $75,000 go? He didn't answer. Brenda did. That's none of your... It paid for the kitchen renovation, my father said quietly. And the new car. I looked at Brenda. She didn't deny it. I didn't key waver. Instead, I gave my father a different document. This is what I need from you. He looked at it. 1. A written acknowledgement that Mom's letter is valid and I am the legal heir to her estate. 2. Transfer of all music rights back to my name. 3. Your cooperation in purchasing the piano back from Dr. Cole. He's willing to sell it to me at cost. Brenda stepped forward. If you sign that, you're admitting to fraud. They could prosecute you. I looked at her. Yes, they could. But I won't. Unless you make me. Brenda turned to my father. Leonard, don't do this. She's bluffing. She won't sue her dying father. My father looked at his wife, then at me. For the first time in 13 years, he made a different choice. Brenda, enough. This was never your decision, it was mine, and I'm ending it. Brenda's face twisted. She slapped him. The sound was sharp in the quiet room. Then she caught herself. Step back. You're going to regret this, she said to me. No, I said. I don't think I will. She stormed out. Travis followed without a word. My father signed the document. His hand trembled. From the disease, from age, from shame. When he finished, he pushed the paper across the table. For what it's worth, he said, I'm sorry, Jesse, not for getting caught, for doing it in the first place. I was weak. I failed you. I failed your mother. I didn't say anything. Will you forgive me? I stood up, looked at the spot where the piano used to be, the faded rectangle on the hardwood floor. Forgiveness isn't something I can give you right now, Dad. Maybe not ever. But I won't destroy you either. I'll let you go with whatever peace you can find. I picked up the signed document. That's the most I can offer. I walked to the door. Stopped. Looked back. My father was crying. First time I'd ever seen it. I didn't comfort him. I didn't owe him that. At 4:47 p.m., I drove away from that house. I looked in the rearview mirror once. The house got smaller and smaller. And then, it was gone. On the plane back to Boston, I got a text from Rebecca. Text. Aunt Becca. Proud of you, sweetheart. Your mother would be proud. I didn't cry. Not yet. I waited until I got home. 2 weeks later, the piano arrived. Dr. Cole had arranged the shipping. He refused to accept payment. Consider it a gift from one music lover to another. The movers positioned it in the corner of my apartment, by the window, overlooking the Charles River. I sat down, placed my hands on the keys. I played the first piece my mother ever taught me. Chopsticks. The simplest song in the world, but on her piano, in my apartment, it felt like the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. I cried for 20 minutes, not from sadness, from something else. Relief. Completion. A circle finally closed. My phone buzzed. Text. Unknown number. This isn't over. Be Brenda. I smiled. I deleted the message, blocked the number. It was over. For me. 3 months have passed since that day in Richmond. My father is still alive. Barely. He's in hospice care now, at the house. Brenda is still there. Travis moved out. Apparently, his creditors found him again. I haven't visited. Some people ask me if I regret not being there when he dies. I don't know yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But I know one thing. I was there for myself when no one else was. And that matters more. The royalty checks come to me now. $14,200 last quarter. Not life-changing money. But it's mine. It was always supposed to be mine. I play the piano every morning now. 6 a.m., just like my mother used to. I'm not as good as she was. I'm rusty, out of practice. But when I play her music, I feel her with me. That's enough. For 13 years, I was the good daughter, the quiet one, the one who didn't make trouble. And they used that silence to take everything from me. So here's what I learned. Silence isn't peace. Silence is permission. And I'm done giving permission. So let me ask you this. If your family stole from you, not just money, but your mother's memory, your inheritance, your trust, would you fight back? Or would you keep the peace? I made my choice. I took back what was mine. Some people call that selfish. I call it survival. If you've ever had to choose between family loyalty and self-respect, I want to hear your story. Leave a comment. Tell me what you would have done. And if you're still in that situation, still being told to stay quiet, to not make trouble, maybe this is your sign. You don't owe anyone your silence, not even family.